a 29-year-old mother of 3. And so all of this is just frosting.
Yeah. All right. Next question. Shay asks, if you ever wrote the books again, would you add or change anything, like a different perspective?
Not so much. What I would change, if I could go back and edit Twilight again, I would, because I really think that, Twilight was my first attempt ever to write anything, and it just sort of flowed out, and I know my editors had a hard time, dealing with this person who had no idea what she was doing. And I think I could do a better job now. I really hope that as I keep writing, it's not. I can't even listen to it because it's like, oh, I hear all the mistakes. And that's part of being a writer. You just have to accept it's never going to sound perfect to you. And know that as you keep going, you get better and better. And if I would have started when I was 15, it probably would have been, a whole different thing. So, practice makes perfect. And but I still think I do it the same way.
Olivia asks, every author and reader has a character that they love to hate. Do you have a character that you love to hate?
Yeah, that was interesting. Oh, stop. None of that. Okay.
Stop hating on Jacob.
Okay. Now, the reason I grabbed that question out was because I thought it was kind of interesting. I think a lot of authors do kind of love to hate some of their characters, and mostly I'm just in love with them all. Even the bad guys, I'm like, oh, totally. I totally get Victoria's point. I didn't see that. But there are characters I think I would be afraid of if they were real. I love him, but Arrow kind of terrifies me.
Arrow terrifies all of us.
Yeah, he's really cool that way.
Wendy asks, how difficult was it to let go of certain parts of the stories in the editing process, or is there any plot line that you sort of missed?
There are. It was really tough for me. I'm getting better. You'll notice on my website, early in, I have a lot of outtakes because there were so many things. Right. I couldn't let go of them, even though I knew they didn't really serve the novel, but it was just like, oh, I love this. As I kept writing, I got to where I had a better focus and understood, it was streamlined. So I don't have them so much anymore. Now I just, like to play around with the extras that after the fact I kind of wanted to do, but not so much with the outtakes anymore.
Katie asks, can you give me some advice about being a writer? Can you tell me what it's like to be a writer, and is it a fun job? It seems like a fun job right now.
I gotta say, this isn't the part that's the good part. I mean, this is super cool and everything, but don't get me wrong, I'm terrified, okay? So it's kind of scary, the public thing, and a lot of the work of it isn't glamorous or fun at all. You have to love writing. If you don't love that quiet part where you're just sitting down at the computer and there's no one but you and the story, if that's not what you really get a kick out of, then it's not the right career, because the glamour part's not really there. It's all about writing. So that's what makes it fun, and if you love to write, then just do it. Don't worry about who's ever going to read it. Write for yourself, and that's the best advice I think you can have.
Sort of agree that it is really inspiring to watch someone who's so passionate about their work and also so sort of humble and excited about the fan base and about all of their readers. And I think we were talking yesterday about how agents and people that are publishing your book have different ideas for plot lines. I was wondering if you could maybe tell us one thing that someone wanted and you sort of were like, no way, keep the integrity here and with what I want.
I really get sticky on my characters. They are who they are. And Renee is still alive, so that was one. No, I mean, that's one of the challenges when you write, is because there always is room for improvement. And if you look at your book and say, this is perfect, no one better ever suggest any changes here, that's not the way to go. There's always room to make it better and make it faster and find your strengths and bring them out. So editors are wonderful that way. At the same time, you have to know where the core of the story is. You have to know what you're not going to compromise on. It's a really difficult thing to learn. It's something I'm still working on.
And in that same vein, Malin asks, some actors say they never watch their own movies. Is it the same thing with you in reading your own books, or do you sometimes sit down and reread them?
Totally different thing, because by the time you have edited a novel, you have read it at least 200 times. There was a point in my life where I swear I had Twilight memorized from beginning to end.
You might be in common with this proud.
So, I think when you find that medium that you really can express yourself in, I tried to paint when I was in high school. I actually got a few ribbons. I wasn't that bad, but I could see this in my mind. I could not put it on the paper and get the vision translated directly. And then when I started writing a little bit later in life, finally I found my medium where I could really do it, and then I enjoy going back. I love reading the books over again. That might sound really strange, but I get to go back to that world again. It's fantastic.
Melanie asks, did you ever cry while writing a particularly emotional scene?
Aw moments? No, I cry all the time, and it always shocks me too. At the end of The Host, for 3 chapters, the longest crying Jake, and my throat just ached, and I had ice water there because I just couldn't stop. I remember in Eclipse, there's this moment, when Bella is seeing her possible future, already knowing that she's going to reject it. And she has that moment when she sees her future children running away from her into the woods. I can't even talk about it without misting out. That really always gets me.
Absolutely. Now this is an interesting one. Ari asks, many feminists are raising criticisms about your characterization of Bella and her relationships with Edward and Jacob, suggesting that maybe Bella isn't the best role model for young women since she is strongly codependent. How do you feel about that? You know what? Ari, you should get out of here. You're in trouble.
No, I mean, I get that, and it's something that it does make me a little bit angry because